FM 90.
Spectrum wants to hear your views. You can SMS at any time during the show. Type Spectrum, leave a space, type in your contribution and name, then send it to 7197. Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
Hello, a very warm welcome. You tuned into Spectrum on Radio 1. I'm your host, Edmond. Kizito, good evening. On Spectrum tonight, inside of Parliament, the budget process kicks off as MPs speak out against corruption. What are they saying about the budget priorities and accountabilities? Today we go inside the corridors of Parliament within the committees to see what members of Parliament who you entrusted offices with are actually up to. In line with their work, MPs have been handling several issues, although much of the work concentrated around the budget process and anti-corruption, commonly referred to as the oversight role. We'll look at that process, we'll look at the other issues pertaining, other issues that are arising, the issue of credibility and the integrity of Ugandan Parliament. We have issues of one MP in India caught in an alleged bribery scam, extortion scam. One of them wanted to get mercury from under a bridge. We don't know whether mercury is to be found under bridges. Another person is on a case of treason, and some received 5 million shillings to consult with their constituents on a bill that never saw the light of day. Indeed. Our guests tonight, Honorable Jimmy Akena, Lira Municipality MP from the Uganda People's Congress Party. You're most welcome, Honorable Jimmy Akena.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
We're also joined by Honorable Ronald Mugume, Kaginda, Rukungiri Municipality MP, Shadow Minister for Public Service. You're most welcome, Honorable Kaginda.
Good evening, listeners.
We expect to be joined by the Parliamentary Commissioner, Honorable Dr. Chris Barriomos. Chinchizi is the MP, also a member of that commission, which basically runs Parliament as a group. It has the leader of opposition, leader of government business, who's also the Prime Minister, the Speaker of Parliament, and 3 other people, I believe. Honorable Jimmy Akena, talk to us about some of these things that we're hearing in Parliament. Is Parliament performing well? Before we get into the specifics, in your own view, the ninth Parliament, is it doing a good job?
I think it's doing what largely to its expectation, although there's of course a lot of room for improvement. But I think Parliament generally, we have taken up our task and we're trying our best to see that we provide the oversight, make our contributions, like especially in the budget process or committee stage. We really try to make sure that the concerns of the electorate are reflected in the budget. But budget being a government document, it will come with the government priorities. Whether we agree or not, it's now a question of how we can band together and see key areas which must be addressed in order for the country to get some forward direction. So by and large, I think the 9th Parliament is trying its best to perform its role.
Trying its best to perform its role. There was a lot of hope pegged to it when it began to work. Is it doing what it's supposed to? Let's talk about legislation. Some people have said you're not passing as many laws as you're supposed to.
Again, it's really, I put more on emphasis on government, because majority of the laws which come to the floor are government bills, and government work takes priority. Now, if government wants a particular bill to be passed, they will do all that is necessary to see that that bill appears in all the paper, the matters are addressed, concerns are dealt with, and we vote on issue by issue. So the aspect of legislation, it should really, the legislation agenda should really be a reflection of what the government wants to be on the legislative agenda. Whatever comes before us, we'll address to the best of our abilities and give our contributions on it.
All right, let's talk about, since you mentioned by priorities, let's talk about the teachers' pay. They were supposed to get 15% pay rise. They never got it last year. They are proposing 20% pay rise. Donors are cutting off their aid. Are they likely to get this pay rise? And we hear they won't get paid for 3 months.
It's an area which I have a lot of concern, because personally I believe education is key, and teachers are a key element of that education process. I have a lot of difficulties with UPE, the amount of money which is given per student per year. That does not make sense.
So far,
it's actually around 7.
No, 4,000 if you work it backwards, mathematically.
Per year.
Yes.
Now, at least the last time I confronted the minister, he assured me it is about 7. But my question to him was, how much what's the minimum cost to educate a child for 1 year? Because these children who you're supporting on 4,000 or 7,000 per year are competing directly with children who are
paying 1 million
a term, which is about 3-4 million per year, and they sit the same exam and they're supposed to compete. Now we really need to look at this element of what is Uganda's greatest resource. It's not the oil, it's not the fertility of the soil, it's the people. Now if we don't invest in the people, we're going to hinder future generations and we're going to hinder the development. So this aspect of what are we doing for the teachers, it's something which really needs to be addressed. What are we doing to ensure that our economy grows? Oil will come and go. By and large, we have become almost like traders. When you look at the aspect of production, how many people are actively engaged in production? So many young men are leaving the villages where if agriculture was something which could make them earn a living, they're in town riding borders, doing some sort of casual job. At the end of the day, we need to address this. And the position of a teacher in providing the skills or the knowledge base which somebody can then build upon is something critical. So, as a priority, we must look at the teachers. We must also look at the health workers, because we are losing far too many people through preventable diseases. And there are simple things which are just not there. Somebody goes to a clinic and cannot get even the basic treatment because it's not there. And those are things which, as a country, we need to address. Government needs to take that as a priority. The health of the citizens must be very high. The education of our children must take a higher priority. But this issue of very small money for UPE, denying parents to make any contribution for UPE, and at the same time you try to juxtapose it with the idea that under the government programs, families are supposed to be earning at least 20 million per annum. And then what goes to education, surely? Are you really helping them? Or if a parent cannot afford to contribute to their child's education to a greater tune than this 4,000, then we actually have a very serious crisis. If there's a serious need for 4,000 shillings education, there's a serious crisis in this country, in that our figures of those above the poverty line must be totally false. If a parent cannot pay for that sort of thing, there's a big crisis. So I really hope that in this session, government will take seriously the issues of teachers, the issues of health workers, and the general well-being of the majority population who are living off the land, such that they should be able to earn at least something which can sustain their families.
Well, of course, you mentioned the issue of, before I come to you, Honorable, you mentioned the issue of young people moving away from the land to borders. They say, some economists will say, that agrees with general economic growth. People moving away from tilling the land to service delivery.
True. It's necessary to have some of that one, but a lot of it is being forced because there is no livelihood. If you talk about poverty in the rural area, it is extreme. And in those circumstances, Uganda has a natural advantage, comparative advantage, if you look in the whole region, in the area of agriculture. We need to develop agriculture such that we can tap into regional and international markets. That we have, it's what we've been blessed with. But the productivity, if you look at the productivity per capita, what should be happening is, although people move into the service sector, we should get greater production. That in many cases is not happening. In many areas now we're becoming food deficient. And every now and then you're hearing World Food Program interventions here and there. Recently I visited the Regional Referral Hospital in Lira. There are 2.5 wards with malnourished children. Now,
children with not enough food to eat.
Not enough food or not a balanced diet, and getting the complications of malnutrition. Now, that one is something which we really need to address, because it is a bigger problem. It's not that the land cannot produce, or there there's a serious problem. There's a bigger mix of things. Yes, there's a need for having fewer people engaged in more productive agriculture, but we're not getting the more productive agriculture. By and large, you're getting some of these big agricultural players, but most of those are dealing for export or for some other sector. But what is really sustaining the citizenry is where there's a problem.
Well, this is Spectrum on Radio 1. Tonight we're going inside of Parliament. The budget process has kicked off amidst us talk about corruption. We're asking what the MPs are saying about the budget priorities and accountability. Our guests tonight, Honorable Jimmy Akena, Lira Municipality MP from the Uganda People's Congress, Honorable Ronald Mugume Kaginda, Rukungiri Municipality MP, also Shadow Minister for Public Service from the FDC party. We're expected to be joined by Honorable Dr. Chris Bariomusi from Chinchizi East, member of the Parliamentary Commission as well, and you two will be able to call in tonight a little bit later. Honorable Kaginda, give us your own assessment of the Parliament's, of course this is a question that should be answered by the Parliamentary Commission, but give us your own assessment of whether we have the priorities right and whether Parliament is doing its job.
Thank you very much, Edmond. Let me first take this opportunity to congratulate my brother Akena, because I have not seen him since 6.
He found his missing rib.
Yes. Congratulations. You know, we respect Jimmy, because he is not an ordinary person in this country.
Yes.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
And you are better half. First and foremost, I'm a shadow minister for public service, this opposition side, and I've participated already in the process of the budget when it comes to the public service. I can tell you, UNATU, which is
the teachers' union.
Yeah, the teachers' union. These people were promised by the government. Actually, for them, they wanted 100%.
Doubling the
yes, but the government said no, 100% we cannot afford. What we are going to do, we are going to increase 50%, and this 50% at first we shall first give you in the first year. We shall give you this financial. We shall give you 15%, then 15%. That's 30%. Then the 2015, I think, that's when we were promised that we were going to get 20%. That is 50. When you total that, it becomes 50%. But it is amazing. We have been on a retreat with the ministry staff, including the two ministers, have been in a retreat in Jinja. This retreat was between the members of the public service and the local government and the ministry officials.
Yes.
We sat for 2 days.
What did they say?
This was 320 billion shillings.
It's not even in the budget.
It is not in the budget. But as my brother has said, for us this time, I want to appeal all members of Parliament, because when you see how we really tried as members of Parliament in this budget, which we are still on, we failed to increase the budget of health. We tried actually, but we
couldn't find the money.
We could not find the money. But this time, since we are still in the process, as a shadow minister for public service, I want to appeal everybody, especially members of Parliament, to look around and get this money. Because you cannot keep on promising for how long? So to me, as a member of this committee of public service, I think it is time, and I can assure you, without this money, we are not going to pass this budget.
What was the money?
We have already started to mobilize around.
The donors have cut their aid, and you're talking about over $100 million, maybe $120 million, roughly thereabouts. Where is it going to come from?
let me tell you, my brother, in Uganda, we have a lot of money.
What is it?
What is important now is to know which one should be a priority.
Talk to us about priorities.
Because when you see what is happening today in Uganda, you will find that in Uganda, you find allowances for politicians.
Yes.
Allowances
For consulting on the marriage and
exactly, also, of all sorts of kind. So what I'm saying, what we need as parliament, we want to check the government now. Ask what are your priorities as a government. So if you have the priorities and you think education is important in this country, we should first think about the salaries of our civil servants. Because you cannot work without these civil servants. With 3 arms of government, legislature, executive, and judiciary, for example. When you hear what for example, the judges, the judiciary sector, people are suffering.
5 million for the Chief Justice.
5 million, and
some people, it won't suffice even for the weekend.
Yes. So what we are saying, we have already asked the government. Actually, I want to thank the members of my committee that we are working as a team. And this time, I don't think anybody will talk about the parties. This time we are together because we have been, all of us, promising teachers and civil servants. So I think when we come out with our priorities, we shall get this money. At least what I know, we are not going to pass this budget without this money. At least something.
Where will you cut it from? The other time you spent time at the trade, you couldn't find money for the health workers.
Yes, we couldn't find it. Because when you see that almost 95% of the budget for the Ministry of Public Service, just their salaries for salaries. And meager, of course. So we are saying we shall sit. And the good thing, it is still early. We are in a process of budgeting. So I think we shall try and see where we can get this money. We are telling the government we are still in the budget, so they should really look around and visit. And we want the NRM government that you should not involve politicians in the budget.
What do you mean?
This year's budget, the powers are mainly from the NRM party. Actually, the technocrats are not mainly involved. That's why, as members of parliament, yes, as committees, we are in this budget. But when you ask, you find
it's a political budget.
It is a political budget. Because today, the interest, the priority is in infrastructure.
But let's look at where the money is going to come from. You know very well we have to facilitate certain departments. State House needs money to meet some of those pledges. Those people also demand. Some of them have been waiting a long time. Some of them want the money in sacks. Some of them want it to their accounts. How are you going to deal with that situation?
Thank you very much. I think this is an advice to the government, the ruling government.
Some of the money is
why do you carry the money in
the account? We don't know that.
Why?
On the head.
Because what we need now is just to sit and see, do we need to carry this money in the sacks or anyway? So I think what we need to do as members of parliament and all stakeholders is just to see what can we do. It is a big question. What can we do?
Honorable Jimmy Akena, there's some people have said till July teachers will not get a salary for the next 3 months. They should borrow beans and push it from the shops. Is that tenable?
No, we really need to restore the dignity of the teaching profession. In many cases, you go back 2-3 generations, a teacher was very highly regarded in society. Today, because of the living circumstances of teachers, they don't have the respect. you go back a few generations. I mean, a parent hearing or a child trying to argue with a parent, and the parent just said, but teacher said, that's the end of argument. There is no question to it. Teacher had a position of great respect and very strong position in society. But now you have, because of these circumstances, teachers have been reduced to begging, been put in difficult circumstances. We're destroying the whole profession. And the role which they play is something which is vital. So we need to prioritize. If education and the well-being of teachers was a priority of the government, I can assure you the funds will be available.
If it was regarded as an important thing.
If it was regarded as a priority which needs to be addressed, the funds will be available. Because when you look at the overall budget, the budget, although I agree largely with my colleague, a budget is really a political document. And it's the political party in power which sets its priorities as to what it wants to fulfill. The technocrats try to make sense of those political priorities and work it out in the sense that this is what the economy can handle, and you're basically putting your priorities. It's not a completely technocrat issue, but as a political party in power, you set the priorities. If education is high on the priorities, it will be reflected in the budget. If health is high in the priorities, it will be reflected. My colleague has mentioned that the priority which is being emphasized is infrastructure. Infrastructure, very important. You have to deal with the livelihoods. People have to be able
on those roads.
People have to be able to live. People have to be able to meet their obligations. People have to be able to survive, even from basic illnesses which will affect them from time to time. They should be able to go to the clinic, find well-motivated staff who have the equipment in order to be able to treat. Their children should be able to go to school with a hope, a dream. We don't know in the villages what we have. We may have an Einstein hiding in some village somewhere. We may have a
fear of relativity.
Yeah, we may have Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi, whoever. We don't know who they are. But unless we give them the priority, unless we give them opportunity to develop, we're going to lose out. At the moment, I feel the education system is very segregated. There are those who have a better chance of making it, and there are those who just get rudimentary education. And it goes back to your point. If those who have not a strong education background are migrating into town, will not get the right priorities. You will end up doing some sort of casual job, but you're not going to be able to really advance. It's better they have the best available skills in order to come into town. So unless the priorities of government address the concerns of the people, it will not be reflected in the budget.
And this affects the dignity of the teachers. You can imagine them going to the shop to borrow. And if you're standing at the shop and you're borrowing, I'm not talking about supermarkets because you can't borrow, but the roadside, the neighborhood shops. Yeah. When other people come to pay in cash, he has to wait at the end of the queue. And when they tell him speak out, he can't speak out. He has to. The entire dignity is crushed.
It's completely crushed.
And he has an authority even in the school because his collar is tattered.
His collar is tattered. He can't take care of his own family. He can't meet their obligations. It's
some entire lessons in the night.
It's a big problem.
So what kind of generation shall we have 10, 15 years from now?
It's going to be a serious crisis. I mean, you'll get half-baked kids. Because I often wonder the teachers with a huge class in those difficult circumstances, how are you going to mark something like comprehension, an essay? First of all, how are you going to mark, you cannot set such sort of, topics for them to be able to mark. And so everything is just you're going to just do the basic functions because you're not motivated. You can't keep on at something which is not giving you a return. So it's something which I really hope and pray that the politics of Uganda, we can come back to basics and realize that education is vital.
Before we go for a break, do you think the high population is partly to blame? 7.2 children per woman, that's one of the highest fertility rates in the world. Our population grows at in the top 10 in the rates, the ranks of
population does put a strain on it. But still, if we prioritize, and if those families are able to earn a decent living, definitely they'll be able to meet some of their priorities. It's something whereby, if you had the money, would you not support your child? And the reason reason why you have some of this difficulty is that even that 4,000 shillings per year is a difficult thing for a parent.
Even that 4,000 shillings per year.
It's difficult, and that's where it comes up that our figures on poverty, there's something wrong. There's something which is not adding up. There's a serious problem there, and that's something which I really feel we must address.
Yeah, but you say that infrastructure is being given the priority, but they are at par. 15% of this side, 15% of the other side.
My whole issue, I mean, there are other areas where you can look at in the budget which can be addressed. Something like the cost of public administration.
RDCs here, RDCs there?
Yeah, there's a lot of costs there. Then you look at some of the budgets, there's a lot of workshops, there's a lot of, all these various expenditures. Is that the priority? Is that what is really going to have an impact on this generation and future generations?
Well, let's reflect on that question and others. This is Spectrum Radio 1. We'll go for a break. Very briefly, we'll be back shortly.
Excuse me, what is this 300 shillings on my bill for?
That is for the tinted candles, madam.
And this 100 shillings?
That is for the air conditioning.
And this 200 shillings?
For the blue walls, ma'am.
I can't believe this!
Why pay for what you don't use or ask for? That's why we at Standard Chartered are introducing the Easy Go account, the first current account of its kind that gives you complete control of your banking charges. For more details, visit a Standard Chartered branch or call 0414-340077.
Would you like to leave me a tip, please?
Of me and wish you lived here too. Welcome to the new world.
MTN, everywhere you go.
So I'm chilling at home with my crew. The boys are waiting to watch the game on the telly, but the chicks want to go to the beach. So how do we play it? A glance across the room. Eye contact is made. A plan is hatched. Pete will get some sand. Lots of it. Jeff will take care of the deco, Tim the entertainment, and I the clubs. And so we bring the beach to the apartment. If we can't go to the beach, we bring the beach to us. It's just how we do.
It's not about where you're at. It's the difference you bring. Get a fresh take on things. Club is brewed longer for easier drinking. Brewed slower for great taste. Club, tastefully different. Not for sale to persons under the age of 18.
Sunlight, it's freshness that stays with you all day. The fragrance that lasts.
Try the new range of Sunlight 2-in-1 washing powders for sensational cleaning and all-day fragrance.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Welcome back on Spectrum. Tonight we go to Parliament. Inside of it, the budget process kicks off as MPs speak out against corruption. What are they saying about the budget priorities and accountability? Our guests in the studios tonight, Honorable Jimmy Akena, Lira Municipality MP from the Uganda People's Congress, Honorable Ronald Mugume Kaginda, Rukungiri Municipality MP, also Shadow Minister for Public Service. You will be able to call in and contribute to this discussion. Honorable Akena, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to find 320 billion shillings. That's over $100 million. In the past, we could pay teachers well because they were just a small number. These days, there are too many. You can't pay them all. What should we do? Ask them to grow cassava in the gardens or what?
That is where now the question comes, because you hear at all of these public days, and I'm sure even during the budget, you're going to hear the same speech again, that the economy has more than trebled and so many things. So if it has more than trebled, you still have to prioritize the teachers. My take on this is that the 320 billion is available if the teachers were a priority. Now, it really have to put the pressure on the government to prioritize the teachers. NRM has to take the issue of education of Ugandans must be a very high priority, and it must be reflected in the budget. I don't agree that the money is not there, because the money is going to be, the budget is going to be more than 320 billion, and it's going to be spread in different areas. If the paying of the teachers was a priority, which to me I feel should be a priority, you can take it out of some of these administrative costs. Some of these budgets on administration are just too high, and we're creating much more of that one. There, the money should be available for teachers, and it's going to be up to us as members of parliament to really push that the question of the teachers, health workers, and also for me, I feel we need to revisit the question of how our young people are going to survive in the villages before they migrate to town, where there are no jobs and they have no skills in order to be able to operate in town. So I really feel that the rural economy needs to be addressed, and the rural economy really thrives on agriculture. I'm not saying that government comes in and takes over the whole thing. You still have to apply the realities of today. Market economics, true, but you need to be able to create an environment whereby somebody can use their energy, use their strength, acquire skills, and be able to earn a decent living to support themselves.
We need to move on. Of course, in the towns there are lights for the young men to see in the night, and they also have tarmac to hide their borders. Well, let's talk about something else: the credibility and integrity of the Ugandan MP. Now, the Ugandan parliamentarians under the African Parliamentary Network Against Corruption are hosting an anti-corruption seminar from where they are reflecting on the theme credibility and integrity as pillars of good governance, the role of an MP. Now, this current parliament has already seen quite a number of MPs implicated in scams. One was arrested for treason, another was saying that, he was found digging up a bridge to try and find mercury. We don't know who told him. We don't even know whether it's true. We should go looking under bridges for mercury. Another is in India. They say he was trying to extort money. What are we going to do about integrity? Honorable Kaginda.
Thank you very much, my brother Edmond. First and foremost, the role of the
maybe you can first tell us, is there mercury under bridges? Is that where we should go looking for mercury?
Of course it is not there. If it is there, there is a reason why mercury is there. But for example, as a member of parliament, I don't know. First of all, I don't know whether it is true anyway. But as a member of parliament, really, I don't think we have reached
there's only water under the bridge, no mercury under the bridge.
And find the mercury under the bridge. But what I wanted to say, you have talked about the credibility and integrity. When you see the role, for example, in opposition, because me, I'm in opposition in parliament. When you see the role of opposition in parliament, meaning our mandate derives from Article 82A of the 1995 Constitution and Administration of Parliament Act 1997, which provides for the organization and administration of Parliament. So that means our principal role of the opposition in Parliament, for example, is to keep government in check. So that's what I'm saying, that as members of Parliament, of course, I know we have problems, as my brother Akena has said.
And partly because you accepted 5 million shares, 1.9 billion.
First of all, me, I've returned this 5 million.
Yes.
I don't want to ask what other people want to do with it, but what for me, as a member of Parliament for Rukungiri Municipality and the Shadow Minister for Public Service, I've returned this cash to the government.
Actually, 21 MPs have actually done
21, and I'm happy about these members of Parliament who have returned the money. And in particular, myself, I've returned this money. First of all, in my docket as a Shadow Minister of Public Service, I see for the last 3 months, the civil servants have not got their salaries.
They are living on borrowed.
Yes. Now, how can I take this money? And we have asked the government to explain, first of all, the source of this money, because now we are now to see the supplementary budget. So now I cannot want to take, if this money was in the budget,
you would understand.
Yes, but it was not there. So that's why
that bill was thrown out.
I've returned this money, and I think I want to really to appeal.
Other people should have returned it as well.
Yes, I've
whether they've eaten it or they haven't eaten it.
Yeah, those who still have it. And I don't want to blame anybody. But me, what I'm saying as really a member of parliament, and who is really Ugandan, yes. Because now I'm a senior Ugandan now. I want to appeal to our fellow colleagues that what is happening in our rural areas.
Okay. Our time is running a little bit fast. Now, as stated earlier today, 20 out of 63 opposition MPs confirmed they had returned the 5 million shillings. I have a list here. Back to the Parliamentary Commission. Now, there was a press briefing earlier today held at Parliament, addressed by partly by Honorable Betty Namboze. She indicated that she was going to petition the FDC leadership to sack chairpersons of the opposition-led oversight committees, and that should also consider dragging to court the Parliamentary Commission for depositing what she termed as illegal money on the accounts of MPs. Let's listen to her arguments and then respond to those.
The opposition in Uganda should be ready to walk the talk. That's why I'm going to petition the FDC leadership to seek for a reshuffle of the membership of the accountability committees in the Parliament, especially the chair. You cannot be a chairman of PAC when you cannot forego just 5 million shillings. You cannot be a chairman of a local government accounts committee and you hold these civil servants liable here. Suppose there was a civil servant who took 5 million shillings to perform a duty that had been withdrawn. How would the PAC react? They would in fact call in the CID. We should be ready to walk the talk. That's why I'm going to petition the President and the entire leadership of FDC. They are the people who lead us here as opposition, and they should be able to lead by example. This is the second time the same people are taking money. When we have agreed as opposition that this is that money, in the 8th Parliament, we were all given 20 million shillings. We resolved as opposition to return this money. Colleagues refused to take the money. Now, NADS is at standstill. With Parliament, 8 part of the NADS money. Now, I've decided to petition the FDC leadership, and I want to test them, and I'm challenging them to lead by example. We cannot talk about Museveni every day. We say Museveni is corrupt. He's the one who is abandoning the corrupt. He's the one who is protecting the corrupt, when we cannot deal with the corrupt among ourselves. And I'm also talking to my lawyers to see if at all it is proper for Parliament to receive a directive from the President. I came here on a contract, and my payments are very clear on my pay slip. I know how much I earn as constituency fee. I know how much I earn as town running. I know how much I earn as salary. Then what about this 5 million? It's not part of my salary, and that's why I'm talking to my lawyers to see if even we can even take the whole Parliamentary Commission to court. I'm going to talk to our Chief Whip, Honorable Sebuli Bamutumba. He has been outside there telling me that he supports this initiative. I'm also giving him some time to see how we will whip us as the DP.
Now, when contacted for a comment, Honorable Kassiano Wadri, who chairs the Public Accounts Committee, insisted that he had carried out consultations and that he had no regrets about not returning the money. He actually took it. Kassiano Wadri took the cash and went away.
Having carried out that consultation and spent the money on the electorate that even the scribes saw being given out, it is cheap politics for somebody to come out that what must refund money, which money was spent on the purpose for which it was allocated. That is cheap popularity. This money cannot be compared to the money which was given in 2005 to bribe members for the constitutional amendment. That was given in the NRL Vice Chairman's office in Mosa Courts. It was not Parliamentary Commission. So therefore, I have no remorse. I cannot lose double that I spend money on the consultations, and you are asking me again to reimburse this money. I reimburse it to who? Again to be taken and chewed by bureaucrats? I will not do that. I will not do that at all. I have no regret. Number two, how can a handful of people go and take such a decision at the back of other people? It was only today that the press were asking me, oh, there's been a press conference, you have been mentioned adversely. It is natural justice that if you want to condemn me, first hear from me whether consultation was carried out or not. So to go and begin condemning, we want to petition the leadership of FDC so that is relieved of workhouse chairman. That should have been done yesterday. I'm not dying to be stressed by this stressful work that I'm doing. I'm not dying at all. I am not dying at all. My place is not as near as Mukono. Terego is not as near as Mukono, where the same person was said to be saying, you can walk from Kampala to Mukono on foot. You cannot walk from here to Terego and Upi, the farthest end, on foot.
Honorable Jimmy Akena, that's Honorable Kaseno Wadri. What's your view there? Who should show this money, like Kaseno Wadri was saying?
Now, there are some important points which came out. The source of the money, the Parliamentary Commission should really tell us what was happening. But one thing which must be very clear, it is the circumstances on the marriage and divorce bill was not normal. By the time normally you enter committee stage, you are going to go through until you finish the bill. Now, it's when the disagreement started developing on the floor, then there was some agreement that let us give it more time, because also the public were raising a lot of concerns, that let members go and consult. In most cases, once you've entered committee stage, it continues. I mean, you can go from day to day, other business may come in, but it has to be concluded. So this particular circumstance on this bill is unique per se as far as the bills which I have dealt with in the 8th and the 9th Parliament. There has never been that sort of situation where we stop committee stage and go back for consultation.
Right.
So,
yes.
And I remember the Speaker's instructions on the issue of consultation. Go and consult, and the key areas to consult, and then Parliament also facilitated us with the Marriage Act 1904 and the previous laws in order to do part of that consultation. So in my particular case, I would love to get more information from the Commission before other matters. I am among those who have not returned, and we had this problem previously where resolutions or something comes up in the name of opposition, and maybe opposition has not sat as opposition. Then also Honorable Namboza raised an important issue of she needs to consult with the DP whip. The administration of Parliament, if you look at the rules, each party have their whip. Even the opposition chief whip, according to the rules, is the whip for the largest opposition party, not the whip for the whole opposition. Leader of opposition has a constitutional mandate and a legal mandate, but is not directly in charge of other opposition parties. So, to avoid getting into this sticky ground, which we got into before, we need to handle this matter carefully, and these accusations, especially in the media, and these threats is not helpful.
Let's hear from the listeners. This is Spectrum here on Radio 1. You can call in now. Our number 0414-348111, 031-226-0390, 031-226-1390. Someone is working on the phone lines in a chiefly. They will be ready for you to call in. Let's talk about the integrity, the broader integrity. Someone who's caught in India allegedly trying to extort money. Many MPs are in debt. They suffer the debt burden individually. And another one is in court over treason, which I guess in prison. Is this going to cast a bad shadow, a dark shadow over the entire night Parliament has been held hitherto?
No, many of these cases, at least the lawyers say, or at least
the sub judice.
The sub judice, and also you are innocent until proven guilty. So until we reach the conclusion on some of these issues, the person who may be charged on treason may come out scot-free at the end of the day. So I am not going to go into the direct merits. But as a society, I think we need to reflect how we handle some of the matters. And personally, it took me some time to adjust in coming back to Uganda, in the sense that the way we even drive on the roads, there's almost like no rule. Somebody can come and just squeeze in, create a lane where there's no lane, and it's very chaotic on the road.
Creative driving, some people.
Okay, creative driving, but it's a reflection of what the society looks at.
Okay, let's hear from the listeners. Spectrum, hello. Yes, sir, your name? Idil, you're welcome.
should come clean and declare the source of the money. Otherwise, we are worried for it to be where it comes from, worried for the study nation, but we are worried for it. Thank you so much.
Spectrum 100.
Hello?
Yes, your name?
George Uganda.
Yes, George. Spectrum, hello? Yes, your name? Good evening. Yes, Paul. Spectrum, hello. Okay, let's get straight back to the studio. Honorable Kaginda.
Thank you, Edmond. First and foremost, I want to thank Idri Variareva, you know him.
From the NRMs,
yes, Tochi Kada. I wanted to tell him that as members of parliament, actually it's not our role to decide where we should take this money. Because Honorable, or rather Idri Variareva knows that recently wanted to go and support the patients in Masaka Hospital. We were stopped by the policemen. Actually, there was a lot of tear gas. The other time, the Black Mondays, the Black Mondays, those who are trying to go to enter schools, it is a struggle. So, as member of parliament, you cannot decide where to take this money. This is implementation. So, for us, what we have requested the government, we have said, and actually this time we have returned this money in form of drafts. So 105 million, we are sure by the end of this financial year, we want to ask the government, as I've said for us, always to check the government.
105 million, the
105 million that
you asked for accountability.
Yes, we want to ask for the accountability. But for us to buy a machine for cancer treatment to Mulago or any other hospital, the government will not allow. It will be now a struggle again, and we don't want that. What we have done is to turn this money gently to the coffers of the government, and we trust these fellows that they are going to trust this money. And second, I want to thank George from Uganda. He has contributed. Of course, the prayer has talked about it. The prayer is education and teachers. Yes. From Lira, yes, he has also talked about the teachers, and that's what I have said. But briefly, I want to inform all Ugandans and listeners that rate is still early to blame individuals. Immediately after the press conference at Parliament, I met Honorable Alasu, General Secretary of FDC. She had her draft
She wants to.
Exactly. She wants to return
So
this
some people
money.
are coming back.
Some people really are coming up. So I want to appeal, as my brother Akena said, I want to appeal members of parliament. Those who are needy should let them return the money. We should not be still early really to blame. Because even us, we have now brought this money today. So let us not blame anybody. What we are going to appeal to our colleagues, please bring this money. And secondly, we as FDC, I trust all these guys. I trust all these honorables. I trust Honorable Kasiano Wadi. Honorable Kasiano Wadi has been in opposition for a long time. He's a senior member. I trust him. I trust Odonga too. I trust Patrick Amriate Boy. I trust Honorable Jackson. These are all senior members. I know for them they know better.
He says it's better. It matters who chose.
But for me, I cannot blame them at this time. But what I know, I know as opposition, at least we met and they agreed.
Honorable
I am going to repeat what I said earlier in the sense that what will be done with the government budget is the priorities of the ruling party. Idri raised the issue of that money can build a clinic or something, unless it's a priority of government. If this money goes back into the coffers, it will be government to prioritize where that money is spent, whether it is to pay teachers or whether it is to pay health workers or whatever. It's the priorities of government. So it's up to us as political entities to really set our priorities, and these priorities should rhyme with the aspirations of the nation, and that is where you are going to have that thing. Whatever you do with that money, unless we start as opposition and say, okay, we're bringing this money but we're going to do something specific, maybe do something in Mulago despite the resistance and whatever, that is where you're going to do. But if you put it back in the coffers, it is going to go under the same conditions under which it is existing. So,
yes,
budgets are priorities of the ruling government.
George asks the question: how many USE children go to Makere from your constituency? Would you know?
It is not. The figures are not good. You get the single schools. The top performing schools, you find that.
Naibi, I think. Is it in your constituency?
No, I have Lango College, then in the neighborhood, Dr. Bote College, Komboni College, St. Catherine, Lira Town College. But the figures are very small. You'll find a single school in Kampala, some of these major schools, send more students than the whole district. And there's some districts which do not get, very few get through. And that's the issue which I'm raising. We need to sort out our education system so that the brilliant will be able to succeed in life.
Not just the Kampala-based ones.
No.
All right, we have to go. Thank you very much, dear guests. Honorable Jimmy Akena, Lira Municipality MP, thank you for coming. Spectrum tonight. Honorable Ronald Mugume Kaginda from Rukungiri. Thank you for also Shadow Minister for Public Service. Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond. Kizito. Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Right now, you can hear the news in the English language.
Come out, wherever you are, from the rolling hills to the valley's end. Follow me, pretty girls, to where beauty is crowned. The search is on for